In the name of the Christ who abides with us, for us, always. Good morning. It is so good to be here on yet another chilly April day. It's been a cool month, and after a warm teaser in late March, I'm ready for tulips and redbud blossoms. But when I look at my gardening notes, nature is waking up pretty much right on time. And if anything, cool days have extended the life of glorious golden daffodils that are waving with delight all over town and right here. Yesterday, as I was walking home from Lens, snuggled up in a hat, gloves, and a polar fleece, I spotted a burly mailman walking up to a neighbor's house in shorts. I laughed and called out, "Your commitment to the season is so impressive." He laughed too. I ain't giving up. I rejoice in new life, in resurrection, and I ain't giving up. But this has been a test your mettle year, and it's been an emotional week. When the Chauvin verdicts were handed down, I realized I'd been holding my breath. While the verdicts render accountability and give me hope, it is up to us to do all we can to ensure justice for all. So in this momentous Earth Week, I am deeply humbled for the opportunity to speak to you this morning, because I ain't giving up, and neither does a good shepherd. The one who is entrusted with protecting the flock has a big job. A shepherd is observant, resilient, and no doubt self-reliant. And while wolves may pluck a couple of sheep from the whole flock, now and then, a wildfire speeding down a canyon could destroy it, as could storms or floods or any extreme weather event. The responsibility is great. I am the good shepherd, and the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. This gritty, muscular message of a good shepherd who lays down his life exemplifies Christ's work in the world so well. And as much as I love Psalm 23, it communicates a sense of rescue that's at odds with overturning the money changers' tables, with healing on the Sabbath, eating with outcasts, and tending the poor. Ours is not a God of rescue, but a God of presence, of acting in the world. This morning, on behalf of the Ascension Climate Team, I invite you to consider the challenge of climate change and the importance of action. Climate denial has been around since scientists first warned that the planet was heating up in the 1960s. I get it. Systems research emerged in the 1950s, but the idea of a delicate balance in ecosystems in the whole world was new. It was post-war America, and we had a booming economy. Reliable data on cause and effect was limited. What's the reason for urgency? And even as the science of climate change was emerging, there was misinformation and corporate irresponsibility. It's not over, but as reliable data continues to accumulate and worldwide tracking and scientific cooperation expands, we're pretty clear on what we need to do. But even with the science of climate change, partisanship and politics have stymied action. And this fragile Earth, our island home, suffers. All life suffers. After the UN Earth Summit in 1972, many European countries got on board and started moving their policies toward sustainability. They're way ahead of the US because they became proactive. Self-interest is a wicked enemy. It's taken a long time to teach the truth, to promote understanding that change in the Earth's climate changes everything. must change everything. Government, public policy, education, architecture, our built environment, our routines, and our expectations for our families, for our futures, and for our churches. The decision-making systems that have contributed to denial must change. And this is the intersection of racial justice and climate justice. It's not a soundbite. It's complex. The Racial Reconciliation Group has been so important in my learning in this year. And I'm grateful to Gretchen Beck for her work in keeping that going and keeping us on track with re-educating ourselves about who we are as Americans. Knowledge gives us opportunity. There's a favorite quote of Martin Luther King's, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." It's a claim that expresses a kind of specific kind of informed optimism, an eyes wide open faith in humanity. And it fits nicely with the story of American progress that we like to tell ourselves. But this story and the analogy of the long, imperceptibly trending line of progress doesn't align with the original text. It came from a sermon that Theodore Parker, an abolitionist minister, preached in 1853. Parker's sermon urges us into a more active role. He starts by admitting that he doesn't understand the moral universe. He's less sure that the universe's contents, of the universe's contents and where it may lead, because the arc is long, and his eye reaches, quote, but a little ways. If the arc of the moral universe will inevitably bend toward justice, then there's no reason for us to work toward that justice, as if it's preordained, as if it's only a matter of cosmic influence, as if there's no human role, then we're off the hook. We say it to ourselves now and then because we need to believe it. But if there's no human role, what of the Good Shepherd? What of Jesus' example for us and in our lives? Parker can't see it, nor can he bend the arc himself. He is envisioning it through his own seemingly enlightened conscience. For Parker, there is no guarantee of the moral universe doing as he wishes. It is only through his own conscience, and thereby his own actions, that justice will be achieved. In 2016, former Attorney General Eric Holder cautioned, quote, that the arc bends toward justice, but it only bends toward justice because people pull it towards justice. It doesn't happen on its own, end quote. Denial is no longer an option, and deniers are losing ground to the reality of extreme weather events and pretending that climate migrants are somebody else's problem. And it's not too late. Study after study shows that if sustained long-term, sharp reduction in climate emissions will have immediate effects if we can globally get to net zero carbon emissions by 2050 and keep temperature increases across the world to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But it's a big ask. And to reach these targets, we need drastic change. Amen.